Well, Bethel-Hanberry is a very historic figure within the community. It started as a high school back in the 40s and has transitioned over time into a junior high school, followed by a middle school, and then now an elementary school since 1991. So it's been proudly serving the Bethel-Hanberry community for many, many years.
Tracy Footman is the principal of Bethel-Hanberry Elementary. As she reminisces of the historical school meeting the needs of past times, she has major concerns about today.
When you think about the difference between then and now, that's one thing that really just resonates in making sure that the students that are here currently in 2018 are provided with access to everything that they need in order to be the best 21st century learners. And with that means that there's going to have to be change. Our front parking lot is quite small, so typically that ends up with parents having to park across the street beside the Bethel Baptist Church graveyard area, so that tends to be some of our overflow parking. Sometimes it'll get heavy enough where they have to park a little further up closer to the post office that's up here on McNulty Road and then walk down to the school. So when they're walking to get into the front of the school, if that's how they're accessing the school, which is of course through the front, they're having to cross over this street right here that's to my right, which is the path for the buses, because our buses do drop off in the front of the school up in front of the gym. So again, they're having to cross a road, and of course children are coming with parents if they're crossing over. But again, you know, just because of how we're having to route our transportation in the morning, it does become hectic, and it is a safety concern. Right now we are on the back of our building, and these two portables are third grade classrooms. And the unfortunate part about our third grade team, as far as their locations for classrooms, they're the one team that is split. Everybody is not on the same wing or in the same pod, which is a disadvantage for them when it comes to instructional purposes and planning. So for these two teachers, these two are out here in this area. We have two third grade teachers that are on the fifth grade hallway, and then the remaining two third grade teachers are on the fourth grade hallway. So again, that is a disadvantage for them to be split into three different areas of our school, because when it is time to do those collaborative planning and team meetings, they all have to find a place to convene, and they're not always in close proximity to one another. If it is a situation such as a tornado warning in our area, we're having to take elementary age students out of a portable to get them into the building. But in order for that to happen, they have to come outside into the elements before getting into a secure structure. So when we think about safety and security, it's more than just having locked doors. Safety and security also means being able to move from one place to another in a safe manner. And that is an example with the portables of a weather situation. Sometimes we don't think about that as a safety and security issue. Sometimes we think about it as a weather issue, but it all plays into safety and security. We have had flooding in some of our classrooms because of torrential rains can come through. It doesn't have to be anything major like the flood that came through a few years ago. We're just talking about rain that just may happen, and it may just be a quick downpour. Because of how where the building is located, and it's in a lower lying area on one wing, water has come rushing into our building in the past and has caused some major damage in a couple of our classrooms on that end. And so given the age of our building, constructed in the 40s or 50s, there's been a lot of repurposing that has had to be done throughout our building, and this room is an example of that. You can see the type of ductwork that we have up above. And you can also see over on this end the gap that is here between the ductwork and the wall that is now here. And so that means, as far as sound purposes goes, whatever takes place in this room can be clearly heard on the opposite side of the room, which of course is also a learning space. This space is a learning space as well as the space that's on the opposite side. And so here we have the opposite side of the classroom that we were just in. And as you can see here, the ductwork continues, and again, the large space there from the wall that is there. So again, that gives us the lack of a sound barrier that's taking place as instruction is trying to happen in both places. And here we have a door that adjoins to another classroom. So again, for sound purposes, there is a minimal barrier. And so this classroom is actually sandwiched in between two classrooms and is not a very good conducive space for learning. And here we are in our child development portable that has one teacher, one teaching assistant, and accommodates up to 16 very active students. Here we are also having to provide them with 21st century learning and a very small space to do it in. In addition to that, we also do have a storage issue because it's supportable. And so as we approach this area, you'll notice that there are two names on this name tag. This is one of our learning spaces where academic intervention takes place. And so what happens in academic intervention, we have students that need more small group intensive instruction. Some need it in math, some need it in English language arts and reading. And so we have two interventionists that share this one space. Each of their groups can have up to 6 children. So at times there may be 12 students in this one space, and they could be learning 2 different areas. So some of the students that are in here, one of the groups may be getting math intervention, the other group may be getting reading intervention. One space, 2 people, 1 desk, and that's just not an advantage for our students. With the growth that we have had, continuous growth, we have had to add portables over the years. We've had to find some additional learning spaces, divide some of the larger rooms that we had into 2 spaces so that we could keep up with the amount of students that we had coming in. And you know, we have to keep in mind that Bethel-Hanberry is not a school that has a magnet. It is not a school that is open for expanded choice. We are a school where the children that are attending here, this is their zoned school. And so with that, we have almost 720 students currently. However, we are a building that is built for a capacity of under 650. So, you know, that says a lot about the continuous growth that is happening in our area and the projected growth that is expected to continue. But it also says how large our classes may be or how few spaces we have because of the numbers that we have here. I often hear that it feels like home when we come here, or it feels like a hug when we come in the door. And I'm a strong believer that it is the people that help create that feeling and that culture. So, you know, again, we are a building that does have a lot of history and there's been a long legacy here. But when you're coupling that with what the students need in order to have the best learning opportunities, we have to make sure that we're making decisions that are going to be the best decisions so that the students here continue to excel, but are also provided with access to what is needed to be the best 21st century learners they can be.